Before she starts. She is spoiled by my dad.
Yes.
He loved her like it was an appendage that could not go in. She couldn't walk, as a teenager, she could not walk across the street without him taking her hand in public and walk her across. You can tell the story right, but I tell you, whatever she tells here, it is multiplied many times more. Just saying. Just saying.
Okay, they always said I was spoiled, but we had no money. So I used to think, what are you talking about, spoiled? Because my friends,
So the way that
they had money and they had things, and I didn't have things.
she got candy bars.
That didn't cost a penny.
We got nothing. She got candy bars.
Yeah.
Oh, she's got no. All right. You should have, Melissa, you should have gave us 5 minutes.
It's gonna be quick.
Actually,
My dad, I mean, I don't remember sitting on his lap, but I remember looking at him, and he had the, when I would look into his eyes, he had the bluest. I never saw the ocean. I would think to myself, it's got to be what the ocean looks like. His eyes were piercing blue, just icy blue. But when he got mad at my brothers, his eyes would pop. I mean, I'm not kidding, they'd be bulge now. bulge, and but I still, his eyes were just something else. So my job in the summer, once we moved to California, because I was 9 when we lived on the farm, is my mom had to go to, well, she went to work at a florist shop, and my job was, I was 9, so 10 the next summer, I had to fix my dad a hot lunch. Now, it wasn't like a hot sandwich that we're talking about, like you had to, and that's what we're talking about on the farm, when they fix, like, for the crew, that was a big, like a dinner type thing. Well, I was in 4-H, like we all were in 4-H, and I had just learned to make gravy. And so I was off playing somewhere, and I looked at my clock, and my dad always came in at noon. Straight up noon, that's when I had to be ready. I think I pushed it to 11:45, and then I had to pedal a couple miles on the old-fashioned bikes, you know. And I'm just going 1,000 miles an hour to get there. Now I knew if I started his coffee, and he could smell it when he walked in the door, even if the lunch wasn't ready, he would think lunch was going to be served. You know, he wouldn't say anything. And so I got that old coffee going like at 3 minutes to 12. He came in at 12, and I'm starting to make this gravy, and I made biscuits. I learned to make biscuits. It was a Crisco 4-H book. And biscuits, and my biscuits were decent, you know, for 10 years old. And my gravy, well, it looked okay. It looked like wallpaper paste, you know. That's it. And I don't know, I had some kind of meat in it, probably, I don't know, hamburger, a little bit of hamburger or something. Well, then when he would sit down to eat, like, I was so proud of it, I sat at the end, it's just me and him. And like everyone said, he didn't talk much, not even to me. And I'm like, Daddy, I probably call him Daddy, I made this gravy. I learned to make it this week. And he just looked at me on the second bite, and I sat there the whole time and watched him eat it. And he went through a couple cups of coffee. And then years later, my mom told me that when she got home that night, she said, "You teach that girl how to make gravy. That was the worst gravy I've ever had in my life." And it's because I didn't know how to cook the starch flavor out, you know, so it was like eating flour. And I have to say, nowadays, I think my kids can say I make pretty good gravy. It's an art. But Nick, well, okay, so my mom worked and she was really grumpy. She was, right, Nick? And somebody like Nick and I might have been a little mouthy sometimes. And she
Now I
would-
can verify that. If there's anybody that was mouthy.
Sit down. And we probably went the rounds with Mom that evening, and that night Nick came. And we were only in a 2-bedroom house, and the porch was made into a bedroom for him. My mom went out there. My dad wasn't a carpenter. My mom did everything. She went out and put plastic on the windows, and Nick froze to death out there, but he had like blankets that thick to keep him warm. He came to me and he said, well, they had a lot of, my nickname was Tootie, so they'd say, Tootie, you go pack your bag. Do you remember that? He said, I'll take you, we'll leave here, you know, and I'll take you away from this.
All right. She ratted me out, we went nowhere. Who got the whip?
I felt so, even though I wanted to go, and I'm like, yeah, you know, I couldn't, and I don't remember ratting him out. I thought our dad heard him and came out of the bedroom. And, Nick didn't show up for a few days after that. I wasn't sure he was still alive or not. But I would say he was my protector then. The funny thing about my dad not talking is he didn't, and he would, you know, in my teenage days in California, you know, you see the movies of boys hitchhiking. Yes, well, that's what my friends would do, and to get home from town. And I'd go to school, and the boys I liked said, "Yo, your dad picked me up yesterday when I was hitchhiking home." I said, "My dad picked you up?" I couldn't imagine my dad picking them up. Of course, I never asked my dad about it, but I don't think he knew I liked them, or he wouldn't have picked them up. He was very protective of me, and I remember him telling Nicholas that if he ever laid a hand on me, he'd kill you.
That was a given.
And one time, you know how I always told my boys when they got married, they might not remember this, but you and your wife be on the same page. My mom would come home grumpy, and I had to iron, she'd leave me iron stacks of it. I had to iron pillowcases, I had to iron the sheets. That was, to keep me busy. And I was ironing, and I was mouthy. I hadn't done the dishes, and she was mad. And I wanted to go. We had just moved there, and I was invited to a friend's house to spend the night. And my mom came home, saw the dishes weren't done, saw I hadn't ironed the whole bag that she set aside for me to iron. And she goes, "You're not going anywhere, And I said, "Well, I'm almost done packing. Ironing." And she said, "You're not going anywhere, And then I was mad, and I probably mouthed off, and her dad got into it a little bit. And because I couldn't hear, and Dad came to me and he said, "Vendla, go pack your things for the night. I'm taking you to the Messick's house to spend the night." And he took me there, and I spent there. And my mom had said no. She was pretty grumpy in those days. So spoiled in that way. When we lived in California, and I was probably 11, at church we had daddy-daughter dates, an activity, daddy-daughter thing once a year. And you would have a dinner and then dance. Because dancing was a big thing in those days. And so my dad he agreed to go, which was a shock. Dad never didn't like to set a foot in church. And he got all dressed up in a suit, a tie, just to go to this daddy-daughter date. And we were in the car, and we're driving through town. It was, I don't know, 5 or 6 miles away. And his cologne, he wore Old Spice cologne. And it just filled the car. And to this day, I always tell Carrie, if he wants me to follow him around anywhere, just put cologne on, because I love a man that smells good, and I got that from my dad. Yeah, well, I'll take whatever smells similar here. Got that from.
Our dad would buy a new hat at Easter and then drop us off to church. He'd have this new hat on his head. He loved hats.
He just had her. He just couldn't go in the church. I don't know. It just wasn't him, I guess, at the time. But so I was 14 when he died. That was a rough age. I was trying to fit in with the popular kids, and we're talking California, where I don't know, there was how many kids at our high school? A couple thousand.
Oh, in Marysville?
Yeah.
My class was 660.
Yeah. So my class was over between 500 and 600, and I had succeeded to be up there, but I wasn't invited to some parties because my parents were poor, and my friends wanted to invite me, but their parents said no, and that was really heartbreaking to me to not be accepted because of that. And when my dad was in the nursing home because he couldn't be at home anymore, one day I had to walk there, and in those days, walking as a teenager was not cool. And I went in and sat in his room, and he had wait because the cancer had closed his throat. He couldn't eat, and he was, dying, so they weren't really feeding him and stuff. And I watched. My daddy go from, 160 pounds, 180 pounds down to 80 pounds. When he died, roughly around there. And he lay there, and he finally saw that I was there. And I didn't pull my chair up to him or anything. I sat across the room. And he just, when he saw me, he just wanted me to go away. And I didn't know what to do. I left the room. If I had to do it over, in my wiser years, I would have pulled up the chair and held his hand and told him I loved him. And it was okay, but he was still the daddy that I loved, even though he wasn't the man he used to be. So, even though we weren't told we were loved, we were shown we were loved. And one of the biggest regrets I have is I never talked about my dad with my kids, with my boys. And I don't know why I didn't do that. It was a painful time for me. Because my dad that's who I had a relationship with. I didn't have it with my mom. And when he died, we were two strangers, my mom and I, in a house. And she had to work, and she was grumpy, and it was hard. And it wasn't until I went to Holland in 1974 at 17 years old, and I was gone for 3 months that summer, that I was able to learn to love my mom. Because I missed her so much, and I missed home, and I even missed her husband, who we didn't like, you know. And that's when our relationship changed, was that experience I had at home. So I'm grateful for my dad. I have such a tender spot for him. And what makes me smile inside is Family Search has it came up one day and it said, put a recent picture of yourself on your phone. And I took one and it compared my mom and my dad, who I looked like the most. And I was 64% like my dad and only 33% like my mom. So I look more like my dad. But anyway, I loved him. My mom, well, she could do anything, and she always didn't need a man. I mean, she cooked for him and everything, but she could do anything. If she set her mind to, she wanted shelves in the closet, she went and built them. If she wanted to do an addition, she went and started it. And that was her, and sadly, I didn't pick up any of that stuff. I have to say one other thing, like I think my mom might have been okay with me, because when we moved back to Wendell after my dad died, and we lived there a year before Mom and I moved back. And California, she knew we couldn't exist there. She was still paying for my dad cancer treatment. Every month went $5, which doesn't seem like a lot, but when you only made how much an hour, Randy? $1.25 an hour, that was a lot of money. And so she still had to pay back all his medical bills. Well, she wanted to, he was dead, but she had to. And so when we moved back a year later, she got this prefabricated house that those grandkids, if you visited, that's what that was, and she put a basement in it. And she had to she worked at her sister's fabric shop in Twin Falls, which was 20 minutes away. About 20 minutes away. Well, the car stayed home, and in Idaho at the time, I could get my driver's license at 14. I moved back, I'm 15. I've already taken driving test in California for my permit, but when I land in Idaho, I can get my license. And the car's there. I know where the keys are. And we had just moved in, and so there was no cement pad at the bottom of where the garage was. It was still dirt. Well, it had rained and it was muddy, but I got the car out while she's at work. And there was this boy I liked that I met at a steak dance, and he was from Hagerman, which is 10 miles. So I go and pick up my best friend since we were born, and I say, come with me to Hagerman. So we drive down to Hagerman, and we drive past his house 4 times. He lives on a dead-end street, so I'm, down, turn around, back. He never saw me. And then I drive back home, because I got to get home before she comes home. So I drop off Maudie. I'm going into the driveway. Well, I got out okay. I got stuck. And I'm like, oh, this is not. Oh, before I got in the driveway, I went and put a gallon of gas in the car so she wouldn't see that it had moved. I thought it was really clever. So then I go in the driveway and it's stuck. I get stuck. And the mud is up to the wheels, and I'm like, oh my gosh. Well, there's 2 twin boys who live next door that were a year older than me. And they kind of like me, and so I go knocking on their door, and they had a tractor, and they get my car out, and they, oh yeah, they put a thing on, and they pull me out, and then they go and they shovel back the ruts and everything, and then they drive it into the garage and we lower the gate. Well, how stupid can I really be that my mom didn't see the mud all over those wheels, but she never said a word to me But wasn't smart enough to wash off the mud off the tire. I don't even think I could have. But the boys filled in the rest to the garage. So. Yeah. Just in closing, when I dated in college, I dated a few guys. I would have married like 4 different guys if they would have asked me, but they didn't. So.
Number 5 happens
The consolation prize goes to Karen. Oh my Lord.
So I'm down at Rick's 2 years. I get to BYU, and I'm in this ward, and there's this guy, and I just end up sitting by him at church, and he has a car, a Pinto station wagon, but I don't care. It's a car. And I have no wheels, and to go grocery shopping is a long ways, and I can't carry my groceries, so I go plop beside this guy, and I'm like, hey, we got talking. This probably took a couple of Sundays. I'm like, can you take me grocery shopping sometime? And he did. And then it took a while for me to realize how much I liked him. And I called my mom, and I said, I have found this guy, and he is everything I've ever wanted, ever. I mean, he just fits it perfectly, but he's too short. I always dated really tall guys. That's why I have a neck problem. I always had to look at him. And she said, Vendla Mary. And if she called me Vendla Mary, it was serious business. Vendla Mary, don't you know that the greatest things come in the smallest package? Amen.
You say amen.
I'm done, but I ended up with the greatest thing.
Charming.
So, I
All right.